Good morning, class. Today we'll try to understand about the Porter's model. What did we see yesterday? In yesterday's class, we learnt about the primary and support activities. Yes, but basically, according to this model, there are six requirements. There are six basic requirements to add value to the product or to the value chain. Right. Yesterday we saw the primary support. This see towards this side, children, where I'm showing the mouse. Support activities. You're able to see. Yesterday we saw HR, technology, procurement, and primary activities, inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics. But this is how the model operates. This is the picture or diagram of Porter's generic value. Now we'll see what to inculcate that. So to have this model, there are six basic requirements. First one is coordination and collaboration. Obviously, for the success of any organization, the organization should have this conditioning. To increase the efficiency, coordination and collaboration is very, very essential. Coordinating work groups to ensure that it is not duplicated. Duplication of effort should be 100% avoided. You should utilize the theory that the whole is greater than the sum of its part. This is very common in the cricket also. If an individual player, Sachin Tendulkar is always blamed that he was focused on increasing his goal, increasing his score alone, individual score alone. But it is not so. The whole team, if the success does not depend upon a single player. The success, same way in an organization, is not largely dependent on one particular department. The entire organization has to work as a larger than whole sum. Then how do they work? That individual parts have to give their best shot so that the whole becomes productive. Got it? So that is the meaning of in coordination and collaboration. The next one is technology investment. Technology plays a very important role in manufacturing and distribution because as and when updated technology is there, you have to upgrade yourself. We have seen n number of examples like Nokia and other companies that are losing because of lack of technical upgradation. So with the outdated technology such as old computers or machineries that are there in the organization, the competitiveness is really will go down. If you are not technically updated, you will lose the market share, right? Then organizational process, this is very important amongst all the others. This is very, very important because improvement in the process through better technology, greater procedural knowledge is very, very important, because if there is duplication of effort, if there is no particular process or format or methodology or technique of running the operations, then you will stand at a loss. So you have to identify a particular process and systematically the work has to go on within the same process. Then comes the leadership. We have seen a lot of examples about how leaders contribute towards the organization's success. Now, good leaders earn the respect from their employees through sound management practices. If an unethical leader is there, anyways, he will not get respect. Remember, the respect doesn't come from your cadre or your position in the office. It comes also from your personal qualities. So conflict management, motivation and direction are the traits of a strong leader. What are all the traits of strong leader according to Porter? Three important traits, children: conflict management, motivation and direction. If two employees are arguing with each other or there is a disagreement or resistance in the organization, then conflict management capabilities come into picture. Right amount of motivation and direction, proper direction should be given to employees from time to time so that they give the best of their efficiency. Then comes employee or human resource, a central hub of information on benefits, company policies, hiring, conflict management. All these things we have already seen. If the employees have any issues or queries, if there is no HR department only, then the employees will feel that there is no voice for them in the company. They can't give their grievances. They can't talk about their problems. They can't discuss their issues. Then what's the point they work there? Okay, many appointed employees hesitant to go directly to the supervisor because maybe sometimes the supervisor only is the problem. So you should definitely have something called a HR department, and the HR department should be regularly available, in touch with the employees so that they can solve the queries, problems, issues, discuss so many situations and bring about effective employee relationships. We have also seen the significance of HR in ERM. Then organizational culture and attitudes, very, very important. Organizations that foster strong cultural identity with positive attitudes tend to attract and retain top employees. Regular corporate sponsored activities to build about cultural unity keep attitudes positive while boosting the productivity. You have to not discriminate, no kind of discrimination on the basis of caste, creed, religion, sex, gender, whatever is the time. Such kind of discrimination should not happen inside an organization. There should be freedom to express express their views, and the organization should develop a positive attitude and bring about unity and diversity amongst all the employees in the organization so that their productivity increases. Right? This is very simple, children. What we have seen today is a very simple concept. These are fundamentals for the success of any organization. Value chain has got support activity and primary activities, which we have seen yesterday. We also saw that Porter's identified this in the book called Competitive Advantage. In that, in 1985, the book got released, and this was very much appreciated. Coordination and collaboration, technical investment, organizational process, leadership, employee or HR resources, and then organizational cultural attitudes. Right? Thank you and have a very fantastic day. Dada Sham.